The following TGC program may not be rebroadcast or otherwise used without the express written consent of the Government Channel 5 or the City of Athens.
Welcome to Straightforward Conversation with Gary Hunter. My guest this evening is Carl Martin, Superintendent of the Athens City Schools. Carl is a graduate of Youngstown State University and with a degree in education and a master's degree in educational administration. He's been a principal at Wyndham and Centerburg schools and a superintendent at Centerburg and Big Walnut schools in the Columbus area. Carl's been a superintendent of the Athens City Schools since 1995. Welcome, Carl.
Thank you very much.
Carl, tonight we're just going to talk a little bit about the Athens City School District, what's going on, what's not going on, some problems, maybe some non-problems, those kind of things. But what I want to start off with is, what do you best like about being the superintendent of the Athens City School District?
That's a good question. Well, number one, I thoroughly enjoy my job. I've been a superintendent in 3 different school districts for 18 years now, and it's been a fast 18 years. And actually, summer times is my busiest time. While other people in the district, many of them are taking a break, I stay very busy. And quite frankly, year-round is pretty constant. And since I've been at Athens since February of 1995, it's been pretty much nonstop, day in, day out, many nights. And it's a fast pace but enjoyable pace. I get around, I get to see a lot of different people, different groups, and it's just a very enjoyable, not just a job, but a way of life.
When you decided you were to interview for the Athens job here, what about the Athens area excited you or interested you or the school district to decide to come here?
Well, I think the diversity of the community. I had been in various types of school districts. I started my teaching career in Warren City Schools and have worked in small districts, in growing districts, districts that were changing, and Athens seems to be kind of all of that wrapped up into one. And it seemed to fit my family and the things that I believe in and the challenge of the job. And I enjoyed the meeting the people, and I think it had a lot to offer me, and I think it was a pretty good match.
When you came here from the Big Walnut School, which I believe it's in the Columbus area, for lack of the North Columbus area.
Yeah, it's Big Walnut Schools is in Delaware County. I was superintendent there for 10 years. When I first went to the district, it was about 40% agriculture. It covered 105 square miles of area, and today it's about 5% agriculture and shrinking, fast becoming a suburb of Columbus.
And what did you find is the biggest difference in working at Big Walnut and working down here in Athens?
Well, I don't know if there is a big difference. The basics of the job remain the same. People are pretty much the same. I enjoy kids, and kids are kids from various communities. But I think basically the intensity of the job at Athens is a big difference. The exposure and the fact that I have 3 bargaining units to negotiate and deal with, and a pretty diverse student body, and trying to meet those needs of kids and parents is probably the biggest difference.
What's your philosophy on how a school district should be operating?
Well, I think the school district is there for a primary purpose, and that's the education of the children. And I think in general, a decision should be made that's in the best interest of the children and the education. And I try to follow that philosophy as close as possible. I think the district also is a business. It's a big business of its own, but it's made up of many small businesses. And I've always taken the approach that we want to be efficient. We want to maximize our resources and try to deliver a service to the parents and the students and the community, and that it is a service industry. And those are some of the basic philosophies that I have, and I try to operate with that on a daily basis.
How would you describe the facilities that we have here in the Athens City School District?
I think we have very good facilities, and I know since I've been here, I've been working hard to upgrade many of them. We have, today we're painting Chansey Elementary School, which hadn't been painted for a number of years. Last year we painted East and West. Next year we have Morrison to paint, which hasn't been painted for 15 years. So to sum all that up, we've put all the facilities on a schedule for painting and for fix-up and repair. We have an excellent crew of maintenance people. We're not real large in the maintenance department, but Larry Douglas, our maintenance supervisor, does a great job with what he has to work with and the limited number of people.
Isn't it pretty much true that all of our grade schools and the high school and facilities have either been newly constructed in the last 30 years or renovated in the last 30 years?
Yes, I think as far as the elementary schools go, they're all in real good shape. The high school needs some work. It was constructed in 1968. It was built as an open concept school building. It didn't have a lot of permanent walls and those types of things. And over the years, walls have been added, and but it had been painted a number of years ago. It's a nice building. In the last few years, we've replaced all the carpet in the building. We've picked out projects to upgrade certain areas, putting tile down in the lobby of the gymnasium, tile in the cafeteria area. This summer we're painting all the lockers, working on that. We're working on a key system for all the locks for the outside doors as well as inside. We're doing the cover, the entrance covers, reworking those this summer. But we still have a number of projects at the high school that needs to be done to be up to current code, current American Disability requirements and those types of things.
I know at one time when the Athens high school was built, you mentioned some of the innovations they had at that time were lack of fixed classroom walls and stuff. They also had a concept called non-grading or phasing of students. Is there any concept of that still existing in Athens High School right now? Are students allowed to track it at different levels?
Well, the answer to that is yes. We have a differentiated curriculum. We have courses that we offer at various levels of difficulty. And I think, and certainly when I first came here, I heard a lot about that. And over the few years that I've been involved with it, I think it matches our student body quite well. Students are able to take challenging courses to their interest, and I think it's worked well and serves us well.
How do Athens City School graduates fare in percentage that go on to college? Or
I think this year's senior class approached 70% of the kids that are going on to higher education, and that's a pretty large number.
How do you do as far as numbers of passing the freshman proficiency test?
Well, we've done pretty well. We've always ranked well above certainly schools in Southeast Ohio, and in fact I've charted our scores compared to many districts around the state, districts that are comparable to Athens City Schools. And in all categories, we rank either at the top or in the top 3 to 5.
Very good. Carl and I will return after this commercial break, and when we do, we're going to get into a little bit more interesting topic, possibly in the equity and school funding issue. Welcome back to Straightforward Conversation. My guest this evening is Carl Martin, Superintendent of the Athens City School District. Carl, before that break, I indicated we were going to talk about equity in school funding, and I lied right off the bat. What I want to talk about first is, before we come back to that particular topic, is the financial condition of the Athens City School District, because I think we need to know a little bit about how healthy we are financially before we get into the larger issue of equity in school funding.
Well, as you know, we're and very thankful to the voters for approving our replacement levy in May. That levy was passed 4 years ago, and we've been able to maintain our financial health through that 4-year period of time, and at a time that we haven't received an increase in state aid, and actually we haven't received an increase in state aid since 1991. We're just not a district that the state recognizes as poor, so we don't get a lot of any equity money. We don't get building assistance money. We're certainly not a rich district that we don't need state aid. We're one of those middle-class districts that's kind of left out there to fend for ourselves. And we're certainly thankful to the voters and the citizens for being supportive of their schools. And the fact of the matter is they're going to have to be supportive of their schools because with the way the state funding's going and even with the new changes, we're just not a district that's going to get a lot from the state to help us out. So the financial health of the district is that we're stable. We're constantly monitoring our expenses. We try to do good things with the money, and there's a lot of things that we would like to do. We prioritize things out. We add things when we can, and we always look for ways to be more efficient and spend our money in ways that are beneficial to the students and for the citizens.
I don't think the people in Athens necessarily appreciate how big a business Athens City School District really is. So give me a few statistics. What's the ballpark figure, the budget, for instance, the number of employees you employ?
Yeah, we are a big business. Even I don't think about it as often as I should, I guess. But quite frankly, we run a total budget of about $20 million. General fund budget in about the $17 million range.
Which puts you as big as the city of Athens?
Very possible. Yes. We have about 350 employees. We have 3 separate bargaining units that we deal with. And of course, we're like most businesses when it comes to all the rules and regulations and those things of the federal government, the state government, plus the state legislature and the courts, and just trying to keep up is difficult. And as a school district, we're not. We don't have one of the things I always say is that we have a supervisor for about every 40 to 50 employees, and we're working supervisors. So it's very difficult for us to. We have to be real efficient in the management of our personnel because we're responsible on average for 40 or 50 people, and we really have to rely on those people to do their jobs every day, and that's one of the downsides of school administration is there's very few of us to administer a business that's $20 million with 350 employees.
I think when people think of schools, they think of teachers, obviously, and money going into teachers' salaries and so forth. But in reality, the Athens City School District has quite a transportation system that you maintain, don't you?
Well, yes, transportation is a business. It's about $1 million business every year, and it costs on average about $35,000 per year per bus.
And how many buses does Athens have?
And we run about 30 to 33 buses each year, and many miles that they're on the road. and the maintenance and the upkeep of the buses, the purchase of buses, trying to maintain schedules and find qualified drivers. The drivers aren't, you know, back in my day, my bus driver was a local farmer who did it part-time, and nowadays they have to have a CDL license, they have to have specific training, they are subject to drug and alcohol testing, random testing. We do random testing. Anytime there's an accident, there's an immediate test given. It's not just a stressful job of trying to deliver safely a number of kids every day, but the requirements of driving a bus have changed quite a bit.
And you have quite a few facilities you actually maintain too, right? How many elementaries, for instance?
Well, we have 5 elementary schools. We have the middle school and we have the high school, plus some outbuildings that we maintain.
What's the student census right now in Athens?
Student census right now is about 3,100 students.
Is that increasing or decreasing?
Actually, the total enrollment has decreased over the past 3 to 4 years. We've had a large number of students that have passed through the middle school and into the high school. Smaller numbers now are moving through the elementary schools.
Is that one of the challenges you face as a superintendent, the fact that you can't control the level of classes, that one class may be, for instance, 150 and another class may be 200? Does that present problems as those different size classes work through the education system?
It's not, it's a problem, but it's one that I chart constantly. I have 2 boards in my office, one that has each class, each school. I know exactly what the enrollment in each class is, and I also have a board that I constantly keep updated for next year. So, you know, by December, January, I'm really thinking about the next school year and looking to see how many teaching sections I need, how many teachers I have, tracking people that are potentially going to retire, who am I going to replace. The personnel side of that is a large piece of what I do a lot.
I think we're going to have to break here shortly, but before we do this break, I want to get into what your position is on the hot topic of equity in school funding. But does Athens City School have a position on this?
Well, yes, we have a position. Basically, we feel that the state lost the DeRolf case, that the Supreme Court was very clear in its decision, and our expectation is that the state will meet the court's mandate. And we don't feel at this point in time that they have. They certainly have done a lot of things, but they haven't. And it was very clear during the Issue 2 campaign when the Every Child Counts committee to pass Issue 2 from the state side came out and said very clearly that 75% of the children in Ohio will attend a school district next year that will get anywhere from a 5 to a 10% or more raise. Well, that's fine, but what about the other 25%? If every child counts, it should be 100%. And in fact, Athens City Schools is scheduled to get a 1.4% raise. So I don't understand how districts can get more than 10% raises and 75% of the kids will attend a district that gets at least a 5% raise, and we have to sit here and make do on nothing from the state. As I said before, we haven't had anything since 1991, and it doesn't appear we're going to get much in the future. And,
so it's a problem that the state is going to have.
It's a problem, and I believe that the state has to come up with ways to deal with the equity problem, but also the adequacy problem.
Very good. Stay tuned. Carl and I will return after this commercial break. Welcome back to Straightforward Conversation. My guest this evening is Carl Martin, Superintendent of the Athens City School District. Carl, in the last segment that we have here tonight, I want to get a little bit more topical on you and deal with the issue of violence in schools. We've all read about what's going on across the country and shootings across the school. We've all read locally some of the instances, luckily it haven't happened in Athens City Schools yet, that are going on even here locally. What's going on at Athens City Schools to protect our students against potential violence in schools, and are you waiting on something to happen up there?
Well, I think truthfully, since this is Straight talk.
Tell me like it is. And the whole world is listening.
The whole world is listening. Well, I certainly think straight talk would be that those types of things can happen
Anywhere, anytime.
anywhere, anytime. And I speak with our administrators. Well, we hold regular meetings twice a month, and this topic of school safety is even before the shootings and those types of things that have taken place has been a topic, and it's an issue that we deal with constantly. Issues of what doors to lock and keep locked, and access to the building. The many issues of kids being stolen by parents, and releasing kids to certain people. So it's more than really an issue of violence. It's really trying to maintain a safe environment and trying to follow good procedures to ensure that kids are where they should be, with who they should be, and protecting as much as possible. We also try to work with kids, and we try to not necessarily identify kids, but get to know what kids are having problems, what kids, and seek help with kids.
Do you have any thoughts on why we seem to be in an era when the propensity for violence is much greater than it was ever before, quite frankly?
Oh, well, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Society is different today than it was when you and I grew up. The kids watch a lot of TV. They play a lot of video games. I think they grow up surrounded by acts of violence in a violent type of atmosphere. Kids take karate lessons and do those things. They're involved in activities and physical activities that are good, structured activities, but if you've ever attended any of the Little League ball games and other things, the parents are probably as violent as the kids or more.
That brings up another thought of mine.
And
Is
it's
there,
not
is there a
just
role for
kids.
parents to play in
Well,
this?
certainly there's a role parents have. Parents have to play. They're the kid's first teacher. They're the most important person in the kid's life, and they have to be parents. And let's face it, this day and age, the divorce rate's over 50%. Many of our kids, and the fact of the matter is, even kids in Athens City Schools don't have stable homes. They don't have stable families. The kids grow up alone. They grow up and they teach themselves. They take care of themselves. We have kids that go to homes that don't have running water. We have kids that go hungry. And when kids grow up that way and are exposed to those types of things on a daily basis, I think there's a lot of problems that they have to deal with normally, and that just adds to it. And people need an outlet. Kids need an outlet on how to deal with frustrations and deal with the problems and those types of things. And unfortunately, sometimes they turn to violence, whether it's guns, whether it's beating people up, fighting, those types of things. And it is a real problem.
Carl, I'm going to give you 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
And I'm going to ask you to describe what you think is your vision of what education delivery systems are going to look like in, say, 5 or 10 years from now.
Well, I think we have a growing arena out there of delivering educational services. We have a large growing population of homeschooled kids and parents for homeschooling. We certainly have the community school movement. There are now, I think, 10 approved community schools in Ohio, and that will grow more and more. The voucher system is really being pushed heavily by especially the Republican side of in the state, and also from the federal government. So I would think that those issues are not going to go away. In another 5 to 10 years, I would see community schools, vouchers, homeschooling, as well as a downsizing of a lot of the urban centers. For schools like ours, I think we're going to be shifting. We're being forced to shift. shifting more to accountability measures for proficiency testing, measures of the proficiency area, and that's the big driving force right now. And we will have more early childhood education, and we're already responsible for kids starting at age 3. So I would see more early childhood education. I would see more alternative schools to deal with kids that have real social problems, because it's not a matter of taking kids and just booting them out of school anymore or letting them drop out. There's no place for them to go. There's no jobs available for them. They do need to be educated. And I think as a society we're going to have to come up with various alternatives to deal with the kids, or they'll just be out there on the streets waiting for us to walk by.
Very good. It's very interesting, Carl. This is going to conclude Straightforward Conversation tonight, and our guest has been Carl Martin, Superintendent of the Athens City School District. Good evening.